And I'll open it up to all of you. So if you have questions, thoughts, would love for you to present it to them. I would love you guys to take me back on this journey of making this film a huge undertaking, a centuries-long story that you're trying to collapse into these 2 hours. What was the original journey? How did we say, hey, we're going to move forward with this and try to put this in a film?
Yeah, no, thank you. And yeah, no, it was very immense. And Laura and I guess, that was probably one of the biggest questions for us, was how do we take this story, which does cover an immense amount of time, and kind of boil it down into a consumable bite. And I think that, you know, Layli, the poet in the film, kind of helped lay down the map for us. And then I think it was Laura's amazing ability to really add in the details.
That's so kind. I think that I'll bring back to the very first. I remember Jesse and I had chatted on the phone, but we had one first meeting in a parking lot of some hotel in South Dakota. And we were both nervously chain smoking cigarettes, being like, what do you want the movie to be like? What do you want the movie to be like? And I think I knew immediately that it was going to be easy for me to work with Jesse. I think that he was a sort of directing partner and really a leader in this story that leads in a way that is very different than I think is normal on most shoots. And I think what bonded us both together is that we were quite intimidated by doing justice to this story, but we knew that we would certainly try our darndest to do right by it.
When you say, hey, I'm going to make a film encompassing hundreds of years of history, and you approach people and say, hey, I want you to sit down and give your thoughts and opinions and history on this, what's the reaction? How do people respond?
Yeah, no, people have responded really well. I think that, and Laura, you know, she's one that said this to me one time. We didn't want to blame anybody today, you know, like, oh, this is your fault, you gotta fix it, you know. But what we wanted to do was try to appeal to people's good nature. And these things, you know, they did happen, you know, and we have to acknowledge that they happen. But it's something that we can try to work on together, you know, and I think it's important because I know I'm a member of the Oglala Lakota Nation in South Dakota, and I want to see our young people have a better quality of life. And I don't know how to get there, but these are the kind of things, you know, that if we talk about them and pull together, you know, I think we could do that.
Well said. With that, how were the interviews process? Were there any things that people said that was surprising to you, or just, when you approached them, were they excited to like talk with you, or were people nervous?
I'll say one quick thing, which is all of the interview subjects in the film, Jesse knows, with the exception of one, and there was a funny bit of synchronicity at play. Like we filmed during COVID, wave 7 or something, you know, wave 2 and 3, and so we had some people not be able to do it because of either they were worried they were going to get sick or they were sick, and so one or two of the folks in here are other people that were free, that were available, that were interesting to us, that came to do the interview and are probably some of the most heartfelt, like, important parts. So I think that the interviews, I don't know, do you want to talk about how we couldn't represent everybody, though?
Yeah, and I guess the way that we wanted to try and do it, the Ocheti Shakoin is the 7 bands, Lakota, Dakota, and Nakota Indians. And each one of those 7 are their own independent nation, but they were interlockable with one another to create a bigger sort of confederation. And what we wanted to do with the interviews is we knew that, we couldn't really we wanted to try to capture somebody from each of those 7, but we also knew that, feasibility and, like Laura said, COVID, just some things weren't able to work out. But if you imagine the Ocheti Shakoin as like a blanket, we wanted to try and have threads of those blanket to really represent what that means and the people that you can find. And the subjects, like Laura said, there was a lot of synchronicity. Some people like Milo and Phyllis, we had on our minds from the beginning. But Alex came to us almost by happenstance. She's a friend of mine. We grew up together. But I never really intended to record her or anything. But it just happened to work out one day, and there was a story there.
Can you guys talk about Laylee's inclusion and her poetry and why that was a big part of the process?
I think, again, the Jesse, I'm stealing maybe what you would have said, but Jesse had Laylee as a teacher. What's interesting about Laylee is that was one of the first creative footholds that I was obsessed with, even in the pitch phase. But she was rightfully wary of us. I think that Jesse can probably talk more articulately about this, but there's plenty of folks that have tried to film stories about this, tell this story, and it hasn't always been in a way that was sincere, with honest or honorable, things behind it. But she, to me, so she took a little bit of convincing. The Dakota 38 part where we talk about Lincoln in here was actually one of the first things we cut, and we sent it to her to be like, this is the vibe. And so she was okay with that. But in terms of using Laylee, I think she was valid both in a very literal way in terms of telling us some of the exposition, but also even analyzing the way, and I'm stealing a wonderful thing that Jesse says, which is the way that she analyzes language as a poet, the way that she analyzes the treaties. We're using that, but also, like, I was incredibly inspired by that in terms of examining film language the same way we talk about Hollywood films. So she was inspirational, I think, a foothold, one of the first footholds.
Yeah, I'll just add that, like Laura said, Laylee's very intentional in everything that she does. And despite, I knew some of her family since I was young. She was an instructor of mine at one time. She still wanted to be very cautious with what I was trying to do, what me and Laura, everybody was trying to do. Mainly because I think she just wanted to make sure that we weren't being too extractive in the sense of, like, taking goal for our own benefit, And so I really had to try to put my best self forward. And, communicate the best way that I could that I wasn't trying to elevate myself. I wasn't trying to make fun of or, cast any negativity out there. That I just wanted to help people learn about this time and just sort of bring this subject back up front again and just kind of revisit it. And I think Laylee and I spent some time together, and she was able to instill confidence in me. And when she did, then I knew with having her behind me that I could go to my other community members and relatives and tell them, hey, we did this, we'd like you to come watch it. I knew that once I had Lily behind us, people were very receptive and glad, and that's been the case.
Are there any questions out in the audience? We have one here in the front. Yes.
Yeah, like there was so. Oh, sorry. Hi. Yeah, there was so much that you put in this one film, but with things, what was probably throughout the interview process, the production, was like the biggest insider revelation that you had, like something really new that made you learn that you didn't expect throughout the process?
Yeah, I was working for the Oglala Sioux tribe at the time, and that in itself, is a institution that is in desperate need of an overhaul. It lacks the intuition that our people have already had, and I was struggling with a lot of the day-to-day challenges of the hardships that our people face. And Milo, to this day, I still, he just was able to speak to me in a way that made me feel good, because I always knew of the concept of what we call in Lakota culture, the common man concept. Crazy Horse was considered a common man. He had no bloodlines. He was just a regular person that did great things, And through Milo's interview, he really gave me a recipe or a roadmap to conduct myself in serving the Oglala Lakota Nation. And it was something that I needed to hear. And no matter what systemic challenges that are in front of us, that I can still try to go the Lakota way and take care of people and just try to give as much as I can. And that way things will come back. And that was probably the most profound thing that I got out of this whole, process.
I'll add on just a quick thing, which is I think that along the lines of what Jesse said, a lot of facts definitely that I learned that were surprising. I think that one of the things that emerged that we chatted about was, especially being there when they dropped the land back flag at the end, was this idea of radical optimism. Like it's a very sad story. It continues to be a sad story until we change it. But I think that I left that entire experience less cynical than I had ever been, less jaded and more optimistic and ready to work towards that.
Time for another one. If there's any more questions out here, all the way in the back. Yes.
Hi, I was wondering what hopes you have for the future of Indigenous stories and Indigenous storytelling.
Would you repeat the question?
I got you.
Somebody.
I got you. What do you have hope for the future of Indigenous storytelling?
Yeah, no, I think this is a really exceptional time. I remember about 2005, 2007, some of the things that you're seeing now was a part of a goal. There's a television series, Reservation Dogs. Native stories are being featured prominently right now. And I'm really blessed to be a part of that wave. And, we have a ton of amazing stories. I mean, not just all of us do. And there's no reason that we can't try to bring these into the fold, whether it's a story here in New York or out in the plains, in the Badlands, So I'm really excited for the new wave of storytelling and, trying to uncover a lot of new things and new ideas. And I do think that Indigenous stories specifically most definitely can be a part of that movement,
There's time for one more if you'd like to have one. Yes, sir.
Is there any effort to make this a nationwide release, this particular piece?
Oh my goodness, I'm actually wearing the perfect sweatshirt for this. We have been out, I'm wearing a good sweatshirt for this. We have been touring. These are some of the cities we brought the film to. We are working with IFC on the film, IFC Films, in their home right here. And it's on AMC Plus right now. We're a little bit post-theatrical. I think it'll be on Hulu or another wider streaming platform sometime soon.
One more question. What is the website that was at the end? It went so quickly, this elder brain could not retain.
No, nothing like that. There's, if you want to get involved with the movement, it is blackhillsjustice.org. If you want to find out more about the film, looking at the producer in the audience, it is Lakota Film
versus United States or versus US movie.
It's a tough one to make a URL for, but you guys saw it. And if you want to know the URL for that, come up. We'll write it down.
Awesome. Very well said. Thank you for those questions. Before you guys give us the last word and let us go, I wanted to bring up Colleen from Subject Matter, who can talk a little bit more about films like this, films that need impact in the world and what they're doing, and the cards you all should have gotten on your way into the theater.
Thanks. So Subject Matter aims to, sorry, I'm being waved over this way, to channel audience enthusiasm for important social issues into steps for change. So I'm here tonight to invite you to join us in creating a positive community action in response to this powerful film. Last year, we awarded a $20,000 grant to the film to support their outreach and impact efforts, along with a $10,000 grant to a nonprofit called Lakota People's Law Project, which, if you got this card, it shares some info about them, but they work to protect sacred lands. And if you were as moved by this film as we were, we hope you will scan the QR code and join us in making a donation. Every little bit helps when we all chip in, and if you do give a donation, you have the opportunity to leave a message of support that we'll pass along to the filmmakers and the nonprofits. And thank you so much for considering.
Jesse, Laura would like to give you guys a last round of applause before we leave. Is there anything else you want to say or add to the audience and the crowd, you guys?
Yeah, no, just thank you so much. Thank you to our producer, Phil. And I know it's a late movie and it's 2 hours, but we're so greatly honored to have you tonight. And we're just truly blessed. And we hope you have a good rest of your week and be blessed yourselves.
Thank you so much.